you? Shabbat shalom. You look fantastic.
So do you. I like the pockets of it.
Thanks.
Second, as we just say to everyone, my gosh, I did not know that we moved the high holy days to May. This is just so unbelievably moving to stand up here and to see all of you who have come out to celebrate this moment in the life of Temple Beth Zion and our community here in Western New York. So glad you've joined us. I want to take a second just to ask everyone, if you have a cell phone on you tonight, would you please just make sure it's silent and we can avoid interruptions that way. We are using the Mishkan Tefillah prayer book this evening. There are not enough. So if you can be friendly with your neighbor and share a book and find a way to make fewer spread, or we can figure out a way to arrange the next time we do this. We can have more prayer books. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Welcome to all of our friends, guests, special folks that have come to join us, and to our members, of course, as well here at Temple Beth Zion. When we get together and when we sit together, it is good. It is so good, and there is the presence of something greater that joins us when we create this sacred thing we call a kehilah, a community. And so we begin our service this evening with the words, Hine ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. How good, how pleasant it is for brothers and sisters to be able to sit together. You can find the words on page 10. Hine ma tov.
Hine ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. It is so good for us to be together. It is so great to be one echad. It is so good for us to be together. Hine ma tov
We have this moment, this special time called Shabbat at the end of each week to elevate our lives, to inspire us, to refresh us, and give us energy to go and do the work that we were created for. And so each Shabbat as we begin, we kindle special candles to bring in that sacredness. And I'd like to welcome the co-chairs of our installation committee, Jen Field and Joni Shatkin, to help us with lighting our candles tonight.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us.
As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
Amen. We welcome Ellen Goldstein to share words with us.
Shabbat Shalom. It's so nice to see so many beautiful faces here. I'm Ellen Goldstein, and I'm a third-generation member of Temple Beth Zion. I'm a former Temple trustee, officer, and former interfaith chair for TBZ and the URJ region as well. I'm old enough to remember Sukkot at our former building down the street on Delaware Avenue, and young enough to have become a bat mitzvah in this sanctuary only a little more than 25 years ago. I'm so honored to be here for Rabbi Brent's official installation tonight. But before I continue and introduce Rabbi Adi Cohn, I would like to share some words from one of our former rabbis, my friend, Rabbi Harry Rosenfeld. Rabbi Rosenfeld writes, "Dear Rabbi Brent, Mazel Tov on your installation as Rabbi of Temple Beth Zion. It is a wonderful occasion for both the congregation and you. What I learned as the Rabbi of TBZ is that the members of the congregation are loving and caring. If you love them, they will return that love 1,000-fold. As I have followed the congregation and you since your arrival last July, I have seen the love and care you provide in everything you do. From what I have seen and heard, that love and that care is mutual. May you and TBZ continue to grow from strength to strength. Shalom uvracha, peace and blessings. Rabbi Harry Rosenfeld." Thank you, Rabbi Harry. Feeling is mutual. It's now my honor to introduce Rabbi Adi Cohn. Rabbi Adi Cohn and his lovely wife, Gila, have come a very long way to be able to be here tonight and participate in their Friends event. Rabbi Adi currently serves as Rabbi of Temple Shalom Progressive Congregation in the city of Gold Coast in the state of Queensland, Australia. Previously, he served congregations in Perth, in Western Australia, Kiryat Ono in Israel, and in Wellington, New Zealand, where they met following Rabbi Gutmann's arrival to assume a post in Auckland, New Zealand in 2013. Rabbi Cohn's background includes certifications in law and mediation, as well as Jewish education, initiatives within the framework of the Jewish Agency and the Israeli Movement for Progressive Judaism. He also grows amazing orchids and flowers in his home in Australia. One notable moment in his career occurred following the historic earthquakes in Christchurch, New Zealand in 2010 and 11. Then Rabbi Cohn, who served as disaster response during his time in the Israel Defense Forces during the Second Intifada, he was called upon to rescue Torah scrolls and other important artifacts from the Canterbury congregation in Christchurch, New Zealand. In addition to their professional associations, Rabbi Gutmann and Cohn share an affinity for traditional Chinese tea and aquariums. It is my pleasure to invite Rabbi Adi Cohn up to the bima to share some words of wisdom with us on this historic Temple Beth Zion Shabbat.
That's pretty much the only time that a rabbi will turn the other cheek. So about 12 years ago, I welcomed a new rabbi to New Zealand, and I welcomed Rabbi Gutmann with a new talit, and I invited a few people from the congregation and from other places to participate in creating the talit. This beautiful Shabbat evening, my wife and I brought Rabbi Gutmann a talit, a handmade talit that was made in Israel. Some of the tzitziot are already done, but there is still work to do. And I would like to mention 3 important reasons why, and why to use the talit on your induction. First of all, you all know the quote, the passage that we quote almost every Shabbat morning, "Leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai." First of all, it's a reminder for us to remember where we came from, where we are, and where we are heading to. The second reason is that we are progressive Jews, which means that we constantly build our future, sometimes from the bricks of the past, and sometimes from bricks that our former congregants and rabbis could not even dream that we'll be able to use. Who would have thought 10 years ago that we would be live streaming services to members who cannot attend face to face? The Ptil Tchelet. The Ptil Tchelet was a lost art for almost 1,600 years. And yet, it's back with us, and we have renewed this custom. The Ptil Tchelet is there to remind us something very important. No one is just someone. Each and every one of us is a unique human being, and together we make a unique congregation. The third reason for the talit, for the tzitzit, is for us to create our own individual sacred space. Whether if you're sitting on the pews or if you're leading services from the bima, we're not here to perform. We're here to pray. We're here to be shlichei tzibur, to lead the public, to be the ambassadors of the public in prayer, standing in front of the Almighty, pouring our hearts out, our wishes, our longings, our gratitude. And creating this sacred place is perhaps the most important role of the rabbi. But if you want your rabbi to create this sacred space for you, you first need to create this sacred space for him. Inducting a rabbi is pretty much like a wedding. It starts with a smile, but you never know where it's going to go. And every good wedding starts with a shidduch or with a matchmaker. So the first people that I would like to invite to tie the talit, the first fringe of the talit, is the first person will be Warren Clark from the chair of the Rabbinic Search Committee. So here he is. So we've got 3 white threads and 1 blue one on each side, and we make 2 shoe knots. Side, yeah. And let's just get it all the way in. Thank you. Shabbat shalom. And I would like to invite Susan Edelman, the search committee co-chair, for the second tzitzit. Shabbat shalom. So, 2 shoe knots.
And then under?
Yep. So this will be 1.
Another?
Yes.
One more?
That's it.
Okay. Thank you.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The third person I would like to invite is Kathy Donner Ellis, the co-chair of the Transition Committee. So we separate 3 whites and 1 blue. And we make 2 shoe knots.
I don't know what that is.
1 above and below.
Did you say 3 like that?
1 and 2.
Okay.
And another 1.
So like this?
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Shabbat shalom. The last person to complete the talit will be your new Rebbitzin, Jill Abramovich. Before I will invite Jill to join me, I will say that the difference between a good rabbi and a great rabbi is the support that the rabbis get at home. The people who stand by. When they get home after 14 hours dealing with you people, are giving them their comfort and their much needed cup of coffee or old-fashioned. And I would like to say that the Rebbitzin is not Batman and Robin. She is not the sidekick of the rabbi. And in your case, you have an amazing professional with a huge amount of knowledge in medical ethics. In almost every topic that you will throw at her, she can leave you speechless. And it happened that she married a wonderful rabbi. But I urge you, don't ever take your Rebbitzin for granted. She is amazing as she is. I would like to invite Jill for the last note. That's what rabbis do. Two shonots. Thank you. Many years ago, Rabbi Avraham Yoshua Heschel wrote, I think, one of the essays that formed my rabbinate. And the name of this essay was Judaism is Not an Island. And he talked about the relationships that we need to form with other religions, with other cultures, with other faith leaders. Talking about creating a sacred space for us to operate is also about creating a shared sacred space that we can come together and make a difference. There is an old African proverb saying, if you want to go fast, you walk alone. If you want to go far, you walk together. I know that this congregation has made a huge social, cultural, and religious difference in its surroundings, and I hope that with your leadership, you will continue to tie the knots between the different faiths, the different cultures, and the different colors of this beautiful mosaic that you call home. I would like to invite Rabbi Brent Gutmann to call to the bima the faith leaders that are with us today to wrap him with a talit.
You heard the rabbi, you're up. Calling all of our friends serving congregations around the world that have joined us tonight to help me take on this responsibility. Jonathan, Matt.
And if you will join us here, I need two of you next to me and two of you over there, so we can hold it a talit like a canopy over Rabbi Gutmann's head. Baruch atah Adonai,
Baruch atah Adonai,
Eloheinu melech haolam,
Eloheinu melech haolam,
asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav,
asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav,
v'tzivanu
v'tzivanu
להיטטף בציצית.
v'lihtatef b'tzitzit.
Deep breath, shut your mouth. Relax moment, you're gonna have.
Wow. Ein chadash tachat hashemesh. There's nothing new under the sun, and yet I feel something new right here. This is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful new chapter that we have been able to begin together, and with how we've started that journey, I imagine with so much anticipation and excitement where it is that we are headed. I want to welcome back to the bima in this moment for a new song, Zach Steinberg and Sarah Schultz. We continue Shiru Ladonai, Shir Chadash. It can be found in your prayer books.
somewhere. It's in here.
Well, I think you know the words anyway. It's okay. Page 344.
To God, and we'll all sing along. On the earth, a new song unto God. Shiru l'Adonai, kol haaretz. Shiru l'Adonai, shir chadash. I will sing unto God a new song.
It's a pleasure to welcome another friend back who I hope he did not travel very far, back to see Rabbi Levi Wyman-Kelman to help us receive the Shabbat, to begin Kabbalat Shabbat with us.
Shabbat Shalom. I'm very happy to be back at Temple Beth Zion. I was here in 2002 when I was visiting from Jerusalem, and I'm really pleased to be back here. And in my congregation in Jerusalem, Kilat Kohan Hashama, which I'm now the founding rabbi, having retired, our custom every Friday night is to take a moment at the beginning of the service to review the past week. There are 6 Psalms that open the Friday evening service that were introduced by the Kabbalist. And their idea was that each Psalm stands for a day of the week. So this is an opportunity. I want everyone to don't try to remember everything from the past week, not every meal or every conversation, but what makes Sunday different from Monday, different from Tuesday. Take a moment, start by going back to last Saturday night, remembering how you ended last Shabbat. And just whatever memories of this past week float to the surface of your consciousness, just be aware of what you bring in to this service. And if you can't remember what you did on Tuesday, that's okay. Just move on till Wednesday. So if every one of these Psalms stands for a day of the week, if you look at the 6th Psalm, which is on page 18 or 136, Psalm 29, that's the Psalm for Friday. And Friday is in Hebrew Erev Shabbat, a whole day of preparing for Shabbat. So take a moment to be aware of how consciously or unconsciously today was about getting ready for Shabbat. And this Psalm 29 should be special for Temple Beth Zion, because if you look at the very bottom of the page there, in the Hebrew it says, Vayarkidem kemo egel, Levanon v'siryon kemo ben re'emim, that describing how God's voice shatters the cedars of Lebanon, causing them to dance, it says. God makes Lebanon skip like a calf, and Sirion, another mountain in northern Israel, it's mistranslated as like a young wild ox. Re'emim in Hebrew is buffalo. If you look in your dictionary, Re'emim is buffalo. I'm now starting a campaign to fix every Jewish translation, English translation of the prayer book, to get buffalo back in the prayer book. So now we're ready to welcome the Shabbat, and we do that by taking a deep breath, because the rabbis teach us that on Shabbat we get an extra special soul. All during the week we walk around with our normal weekday soul, but on Shabbat we get a special Shabbat soul, and the word for soul in Hebrew is neshama, which is related to the word neshima. Neshima is breath, neshama is soul. So take a nice deep breath. And with that breath, welcome the Shabbat soul that's going to be with you for the next 24 hours. Shabbat Shalom.
We continue, page 20, welcoming that extra soul, welcoming the Sabbath. Lecha dodi likrat kala. We reach out, dodi, to a friend. Two hands meeting. We welcome the beauty of Shabbat. Lecha dodi likrat kala, yalalai, 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 p'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, yalalai, 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 p'nei Shabbat nekabela. Shamo v'zachor b'dibor echad, Hishmianu el hamiuchad. Adonai echad u'shmo echad, l'shem u'tiferet ve'litila. Lecha dodi likrat kala, yalalai, 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, yalalai, 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, Ki mekor habracha, merosh mikedem nesucha, sof ma'aseh b'machsheva tefila. Lecha dodi likrat kalai alalai 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kalai alalai 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Verse 5. Hitoreri, hitoreri, kiva orech kumiori, uriri, shidaberi, kevod Adonai alaik nigla. Lecha dodi likrat kalai alalai 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kalai alalai 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabela. And we rise, we face the door to welcome the Sabbath. Boi v'shalom ateret bala gam besimcha u'b'tzola toch emunei am segula boi chala boi chala. Lecha dodi likrat kalai alalai 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kalai alalai 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Levy, they all know it. You might just have a franchise congregation here. I don't know. You may be seated. We welcome Aaron Pieri to lead us into the Chatzi Kaddish, page 26 in our prayer book.
Yitgadal ve'yitkadash shemei Rabba be'alma divrach erutei ve'amlich malchutei b'chayechon u've'yomechon uv'chayedecho beit Yisrael bagala bagala Uvizman kariv vehimeru amen. Yeheshme Rabba mevarach le'alam ulal me'almaya yitbarach ve'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitale v'yitalal shemei dekudesha brich le'la min kol bechata ve'shirata tush bechata v'nechemata Damiran be'alma ve'imeru amen. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Barechu et Adonai hamevorach.
prayer for evening, Ma'ariv Aravim. It's a prayer that speaks to the opportunity that comes with newness, and also that speaks to the challenge of moments when we must grow and when we must change. So we have this chance here as we enter into the Shabbat, as we enter into a new day, to think of and consider, how do we hope to grow? How do we hope to change? What do we hope to bring with us, and what do we hope to find on the other side? Let's join together in the middle of page 31 for our prayer for evening. This is an hour of change. Within it we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is an hour for change, and within it we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. We welcome Susan Goldberg Pardo Schwartz. It's a lot of last names there. And they know you by all of them over many years. It's very true. For that eternal love, that lasting love, page 32, Ahavat Olam.
Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha ahavta, Amcha ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot, Hukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadeta, Otanu limadeta. Al kein Adonai Eloheinu kishofenu, uvkumenu nasiach bechukecha, v'nismach v'divrei Toratcha, u'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed, ki hem hayenu, ve'orech yameinu, uvahem negei yomam v'layla, yomam v'layla, ve'ahavtcha al tasir, mimenu le'olamim, Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
You may be seated.
Ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol meodecha v'chayu hadvarim ha'eleh asher anochi mitzavecha Hayom al levavecha, vishinantam levanecha, v'dibarta bam, v'shivtecha b'veitecha, uvlechtecha v'derech, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להות הידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
We read responsively on the bottom of page 39. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth.
Justice and love.
From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way.
Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces.
Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed.
Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea.
On page 40.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nedor b'kodesh, nova dehi lo tose fele, ose fele. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh.
And so we continue welcoming Shabbat once again with the words Vishamru, page 44 in our prayer book. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat, לדורותם ברית עולם, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת, לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת, לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני, עשה אדוני, את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת, לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש, Shabbat vayinafash v'shamru b'nei Yisrael et Shabbat לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. We are entering into the main prayer of the evening service known as the Tefillah or the Amidah. It begins on page 46 in our prayer books, and we'll pray together through page 52, then continuing each in our own way. You can use the words in the book if you like. They go through page 63, or the words of your own heart work just fine. And whenever you're ready, you can continue seated with your own quiet meditation. But right now, we rise, Adonai Sefatai Tivtach. We ask for God to give us the will to be able to pray with sincerity. Page 46.
יהיו לרצון עם רפי, יהיו לרצון עם רפי, והגיון ליבי לפניך, Adonai tzuri v'goali. Oh, may the words of my mouth, the meditations of my heart be acceptable before you, O God, my rock and my Redeemer. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imeru, ve'imeru, Amen.
We know that even in the midst of all of the joy that we're feeling this evening, that there are still people among us who are struggling with a variety of illnesses and challenges in life. And so today we're going to take a few moments to bring them into our midst. Today we mention specifically Lorraine Abels, Sue Chazen, Kimberly Del Digo, Stacy Donovan, Roger Ford, Jim Friedman, David Froman, Moses Kaleadi, Alan Mashia, Karen Rosenfeld, Jan Ruderman, Brandon Ryan, Jeffrey Sugarman, Mark White, Marcy Wood, Tammy Van Way, Judith Lopez, Theodore Kotzen, Tirza Yehudit Bat Sarah. If there are other names that should be mentioned, people to whom we would like to send our healing energy, please call them out beginning to my left. And for those of you watching on live stream, if you have names that need to be mentioned, please call them out in the privacy of your own homes. For all those people whose names we've mentioned, for themselves and for their caretakers, we wish a complete refuah shlema, a complete healing of body and spirit in whatever manner that healing is meant to take place. Our Misha Berach prayer is on the inside back cover of your prayer book.
Sheberach Avoteinu, Avraham, Yitzchak, veYaakov. Mi sheberach Imotenu, Sarah, Rivka, Leah, Verachel. May the one who blessed our mothers, may the one who blessed our fathers, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, and bless us as well. Bless us with the power of your healing. Bless us with the power of your hope. May the pain and loneliness we're feeling be diminished by the power of your love. Mishaberach Avotenu, Avraham, Yitzchak, veYaakov. Mishaberach Imotenu, Sarah, Rivka, Leah, Verachel. May the one who blessed our mothers, may the one who blessed our fathers, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, and bless us as well.
It's my privilege to be able to welcome Ralph Halpern, who will share some additional words with us, and a welcome to Rabbi Levi Wyman-Kelman as well.
Shabbat Shalom, or as we used to say, Good Shabbos. Looking over the congregation, Rabbi, I would recommend that you consider an installation every week. Thank you, Rabbi Gutmann, for giving this 94-year-old the opportunity to say a few words. At my age, I hope no one objects to my reading my remarks. I find it safer. I'm Ralph Halpern, a past president of the temple, a very past president 42 years ago. I've been a member of Temple Beth Zion 72 years, having grown up conservative Temple Beth David, where my uncle Jack Kamaker was president. To close this circle, my grandfather, Abraham Kamaker, was president of his Orthodox shul in Toronto. This is how we moved in 3 generations from Orthodox to conservative to Reform, not unlike many of you. Temple Beth Zion has been fortunate to have many good rabbis over the years. We often suggested sermons, topics to many of them. Most, I must say, were silently rejected. Nevertheless, those rabbis were known for their insightful, well-delivered sermons. What I've observed so far, your sermons, Rabbi Gutmann, have been fine. Keep up the good work. I promise the sermon topics will be on their way to you. One of the things I love about Reform Judaism is that we truly stand for something. My uncle, Justice Philip Halpern, a judge on the New York Supreme Court Appellate Division, was among other things deeply engaged in civic affairs with the United Nations, in particular the prevention and the protection of minorities, and in the UN Human Rights Commission. So much of my uncle's career was inspired by Jewish values. In his memory, an annual adult learning program, the Justice Philip Halpern Weekend, was established here at Temple Beth Zion. Over the years, we had the privilege to welcome the many esteemed scholars to join us for the Halpern Weekend. 21 years ago, Rabbi Levi Wyman Kelman was one of those scholars. He was and is one of the most prominent leaders in the world Reform Judaism. He comes from two multi-generational rabbinic families, including a long line of Hasidic rabbis on his father's side. His father was also a rabbi, and his grandfather was Rabbi Felix Levy, the rabbi of Temple Emmanuel in Chicago from 1904 through 1954. Rabbi Wyman Kelman was ordained by the Jewish Theological Seminary in 1979 after earning his BA degree from the University of Wisconsin in 1974. In 1985, he founded the Second Reform Synagogue in Jerusalem, a synagogue on the forefront of the struggle of religious pluralism in Israel's polarized society. Since becoming emeritus rabbi at his synagogue, he has been president of Rabbis for Human Rights. Since his retirement, he has also taken on a very important project, publishing reviews of classic films for the Jerusalem Post. A native of New Yorker, he is married to Paula, a documentary filmmaker. They have 3 grown children and 4 grandchildren. More importantly for tonight, we should know that Rabbi Wyman Kelman teaches at the Hebrew Union College in Jerusalem. He was Rabbi Gutmann's liturgy professor, and he had the opportunity to also meet Jill Gutmann when he led them through premarital counseling during their year in Israel. Watching tonight, I suppose rabbinic installation is a little like wedding. So it is my great honor and privilege to welcome Rabbi Wyman Kelman to the our 2002 Justice Philip Halpern Scholarship back to the Bima to install Rabbi Brent Gutmann as the 11th senior rabbi of this Temple Beth Zion.
Shabbat Shalom. So on the Hebrew calendar, we are just finishing the celebrations for Yom Yerushalayim, for Jerusalem Day. And this fills me with so many emotions as I remember when my family took a sabbatical in 1963, when I was 10 years old, meaning I'm about to be 70, and we lived in Jerusalem for half a year, and it was when Jerusalem was a divided city. And I clearly remember the experience of looking at the old city but not being able to go there, and seeing the Temple Mount and not being able to walk there. And therefore, when I was in high school during the 6 Days War in 1967, I remember clearly hurrying home from high school and sitting on my mom's bed together with her, listening to, in New York, there was a radio station, WINS, had just become an all-news station. And the correspondent to Jerusalem was Jay Bushinsky. And he described being with the soldiers as they were entering the gates of the old city and as they approached the area of the Kotel. And I'm sitting there with my mom, and I all of 15 years old, and I remember sobbing together with her from happiness. Who could have imagined only a few years before that, when we were in Jerusalem, you couldn't get near the old city, and now here we were, Jerusalem, a united, undivided city. Since then, I made Aliyah, started my own congregation in Jerusalem 40 years ago, almost 40 years ago. And every year, Yom Yerushalayim, Jerusalem Day, when we celebrate the reunification of Jerusalem, is still a day of tears for me, but not only tears of happiness of the city being reunited, but also tears of concern and anxiety, and I have to say even shame, as Jerusalem Day has become a day exploited by tens of thousands of Orthodox Jews who fill the streets, especially the Arab neighborhoods of Jerusalem, waving Israeli flags to remind the non-Jewish residents of Jerusalem who controls the city. And instead of it being a day when all residents of the city can celebrate, it has become a day that deeply divides people along religious lines and along ideological lines. And so, in my capacity as a congregational rabbi in Jerusalem, I, together with many other religious leaders, do what we can to heal some of these terrible divisions in Jerusalem and create dialogue and create understanding without any illusions at how difficult it is and how it seems to get more and more difficult every year. And instead of talking about politics, that's the last thing I want to do this evening. I want to present what for me is an image of Jerusalem that has really infused my rabbinate. And it colors how I see Jerusalem every day. I still can't believe most days I get out of bed and I walk out of my door and I'm in Jerusalem. Something my ancestors could only have dreamed of. And all I had to do to get to Jerusalem was wake up. So there's a midrash, a rabbinic interpretation of verses from the Bible that tries to explain how the city of Jerusalem, Yerushalayim, how it got its name. And there are many, many different explanations and interpretations. But one of them takes two very important biblical events and uses them to describe how Jerusalem got its name. Because you know, the name Jerusalem does not appear in the 5 books of Moses. It appears in later books of the Bible, especially in Isaiah and the book of Psalms. But in the 5 books of Moses, even where it talks about the city that God will choose, the name Jerusalem does not appear. But we read in the story of Abraham, in Genesis chapter 14, that there's a geopolitical war, and Abraham is called to bring peace. And his nephew had been captured, and he rescues his nephew, and the war is ending, and he brings everybody together to make peace. And there's a description of a man called Melchizedek, king of justice, Melchizedek, who joins Abraham. It's before he's Abraham, he's Abram. And it says, Melchizedek, who was king of Shalem, took out bread and wine. And this first peace conference, I would say first interfaith meeting, because Melchizedek is also called a priest to El Elyon. And it says that Melchizedek is king of Shalem. And according to the rabbinic interpretation, Shalem is Jerusalem. Melchizedek is the king of Jerusalem before it's Jerusalem. It's Shalem. The next biblical story is also about Abraham. the story that we read every year, the binding of Isaac. And there's a verse that we read, and I know you all sit in rapt attention during the Torah reading on Rosh Hashanah. But I think, like most of us, when we get to the part where God sends the ram and saves the day and says, don't kill your son, sacrifice the ram, well, that's the happy ending, and we all kind of lose interest. But if we paid close attention, we'd see that the very next verse, after Abraham sees the ram, it says, Vayikra Avraham Shem Hamakom Hahu Adonai Yireh. Abraham was so overcome with emotion by all this that he names the place where the binding of Isaac happens. And it says that he gave it the name Adonai Yireh, which can be interpreted in a few ways. God can be seen or God can be feared. And Abraham says, because it can be said on this mountain, Adonai Yireh, God can be seen or God can be feared. So God names this place Yireh. Well, of course, God, according to the rabbis, is watching this. And his first reaction is, uh-oh. The place that Abraham named, Yireh, already has a name. The name given to the place that Melchizedek was the king, Shalem, was the name that Noah's son, Shem, he's the one who named this place Shalem. God says, what am I going to do? If I call the place Yireh as Abraham wants, I'm going to hurt Shem's feeling. But if I keep the name that Shem gave it and call it Shalem, I'm going to hurt Abraham's feelings. What am I going to do? Do I stick with Shalem or do I go with Yireh? Yireh, Shalem. Yireh, Shalem. Well, what happens when you put Yireh and Shalem together? What do you get? Yireh, Shalem, Yerushalayim. And that's how, according to rabbinic interpretation, God says, rather than declare one the winner and one the loser, I'm going to embrace both traditions and call this place Yerushalayim. And this is a whole other model of conflict resolution, that instead of winners and losers, we can embrace both sides. And thus the name Yerushalayim, Jerusalem, contains both traditions that seem to be in conflict. But God found a way to transcend those conflicts and imagine a city that transcends those kind of conflicts. And this is, of course, my prayer for the city that I live in, that instead of it continuing to be a place of tension, it can become a place that models what God modeled for us, of embracing differences and be truly Yerushalayim. Now, I'm very aware that I'm in Temple Beth Zion. Another name for Jerusalem is Zion. So Yom Yerushalayim is also a day for Zion. So I consider it an extra special joy for my Jerusalem day to be here to officially install Rabbi Brent Gutmann. And Rabbi Gutmann, if I can invite you up, I want to offer a blessing on your behalf. And what I'm going to do right now is evoke lots of rabbis and choosing what I think are the most important characteristics that they have to offer as a rabbinic model. This is a moment for all of you to bring the rabbis from your past. This place should be filled with your rabbinic models and bring blessings for Rabbi Gutmann of the best that your rabbinic models had to offer. Okay? So I'm not doing this alone. We're all doing this together. Come close. Misha Beirach, may the God who blessed Moshe Rabbeinu, our rabbi and our teacher Moses, with initiative and fierce devotion to the Jewish people, Bless Harav Feivel Eliyahu, Rabbi Brent Gutmann, with a readiness to engage and persistence, especially in challenging times. May the God who blessed Miriam the prophet with a nurturing spirit and the gift of song bless our Rabbi Brent Gutmann with a generous heart, and may his Torah always be filled with joy. Misha Beirach, may the God who blessed Eliyahu Hanavi, Feivel Eliyahu, Elijah the prophet, with passion and immortality, bless our Rabbi Brent Gutmann with enthusiasm and with teachings that will endure for generations. May the God who blessed our Rabbi and teacher Hillel with patience and acceptance bless our Rabbi Brent Gutmann with an open and welcoming heart. May the God who blessed our Rabbi and teacher Bruria with the ability to find the good in all people bless our Rabbi Brent Gutmann with the ability to be critical but not judgmental. Misha Beirach, may the God who blessed our rabbis and teachers Maimonides and Rashi with the ability to make Torah accessible to all, bless our Rabbi and teacher Brent Gutmann with a Torah that is deep and sustaining to all who thirst. Misha Beirach, may the God who blessed our Rabbi and teacher Abraham Joshua Heschel so that he could lead by example and demonstrate that the ancient Torah and contemporary social justice must come together, and that prayer without concern for the oppressed is empty and an affront to God. Bless our Rabbi, Rabbi Brent Gutmann, with the strength to expand our understanding of community and our sensitivity to the needs of others, and may his teachings touch Jews and non-Jews alike. Bless our Rabbi Brent Gutmann, who now becomes the leader of this congregation, Temple Beth Zion. Grant him wisdom and passion, health and spiritual and material sustenance. May Temple Beth Zion help him to grow and deepen his learning and strengthen his teachings. May he be aware of his limits and see the enormous potential in others. Bless his family. Bless Jill and Daria, Tzipora, Lila and Vered. Grant them the patience needed to support him in this unique and challenging role. May they keep him grounded and help him not to take the praise or the criticism too seriously. May he be able to give fully to this community without ignoring his own needs and those of his family. May his rabbinate in Temple Beth Zion be joyous and fulfilling for him and for the congregation. And may we all live to see the verse fulfilled, as the prophet Isaiah said, "For Torah will come from Temple Beth Zion, and the word of God from Jerusalem." Shabbat Shalom.
Very inspired and not quite sure what to say. Ralph, I really wish you sent some sermon topics about now. Actually, what I'm thinking of is I'm recalling when I was a student back in Cincinnati, and I'd just begun as a student at one of my congregations. I don't know how many of us still know Yiddish, but as I was getting up to begin the service at this congregation, the rabbi of the congregation whispered to me and he said, "All right, Brent, go start the service, but no chokhmas." If you know what chokhmah means, it means wisdom, but when someone says it to you like that, no chokhmas, it means exactly the opposite. I think that the more I speak here, the more you might get tired of hearing me later, and so in this moment, in this moment as I know that I am standing between you and a chocolate fountain to come. I'll embrace my inner anavut. I'll embrace my inner humility and my knowledge that really, although our words matter, what matters more is the way that we reach out to one another, the way that we create community, and the way that we build friendships and relationships that last a lifetime. And I'll use this moment to say how grateful I am to see so many of you coming in. I think I counted 8 states in the United States, and we have 4 countries represented here, I think. It's really quite a special thing for myself, for my family, and a special thing for this congregation to be able to have this moment. We are beginning a bright new chapter together, and I really pray that that you will come back next Shabbat, installation or not. So with that, I'm going to keep it short tonight and ask that we sanctify this moment with a prayer, Shehechianu, for God who has given us life, who has sustained us, and who has enabled us to reach this season. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. It is all of our responsibility to join together, to work together, to walk hand in hand to bring blessings to our world and to bring God's presence into our world. And so I'd like to welcome, as we move into the concluding section of our service, Rob and Shira Goldberg to help us with opening our ark for Aleinu. Please rise. Together on the top of page 287. May we gain wisdom in our lives, overflowing like a river with understanding. Loved each of us for the peace we bring to others. May our deeds exceed our speech, and may we never lift up our hand, but to conquer fear and doubt and despair. Rise up like the sun, O God, over all humanity. Cause light to go forth over all the lands between the seas, and light up the universe with the joy of wholeness, of freedom, and of peace.
ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד. ביום ההוא.
You may be seated. And so we, before concluding our service, draw back into our hearts all of those individuals who, through their lives, inspired us and brought us warmth and comfort, brought joy to our celebrations, and brought a presence to our challenges and adversities as we face them in lives. We think of our own loved ones, but also those whom we shared community with, those who walked the halls of this temple, Temple Beth Zion, and those who have been a blessing to humanity all around the world. And as we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss of life and death. This Shabbat, we continue to remember the recent passing of Benny Berger and Andrew Schwartz and Marvin Frankel. We add as well the names of those whose yahrzeits occurred this calendar week. They include Dr. Israel Aaron, Lawrence Arnold Allen, Peggy Weil, Gunsberger Altman, Joan Kostick Andrews, Theodore Bergman, Lydia M. Block, Lillian Carroll, Celia Schick, Dr. Reuben Cohen, Abe Kornblum, Jane M. Desmond, Lillian Ehrlich, Esther R. Feingold, Lillian B. Fisher, Julius Fleischman, Charles M. Fogel, David Geismar, Benjamin Gerson, Stuart J. Goldberg, Roseanne Green Eisenberg, Sanford Kaddish, Doris Cardeman, Charles Lash, Henry Lovitz, Elizabeth Lutwick, Ida Rubenstein, Maisel, Lillian C. Miller, Robert Blaine Mollett, A3C David Newman, Marion M. Newman, Frank D. Pieri, George M. Reichen, Irving Richmond, Sue B. Rosen, Geraldine W. Rosenberg, Jacob Rosenblatt, Susan Innenberg Roth, David Raval, Harry J. Rubenstein, Israel Rumazan, Lenore Rumazan, Ruth Zinn Sheff, Samuel Shiner, Howard M. Schwartz, Fanny Goodman Steinhardt, Herman Lewis Super, Morris Trieger, Dorothy R. Victor, Charles Wallens, Esther Morris Walters, Robert Warner, George Weintraub, Melba Morrison Weisberg, and Jackie Zerkis Zaruski. If there are others those joining us for Shabbat, either here in our sanctuary or from your own homes as you stream online, there are others that you are thinking of that I've not yet mentioned for the Mourner's Kaddish, I welcome you to add their name at this time. So for all those mentioned, the many more that go unmentioned, we pray Zichronam Livracha. May their memories be an enduring and sacred blessing in our lives as we, in the custom of our congregation, rise as one community in support and solidarity of each other to recite the words of Kaddish however we are comfortable. Page 294. Yit Kadal v'Yit Shemei Rabbah Be'alma Divrach Hirute V'Yamlich Malchute B'Chayechon U'Vyomechon U'Chaye Dechol Beit Yisrael Ba'agala U'Bizman Kariv V'Imru Amen Yehe Shmei Rabbah Mevorach Leolam Ulomei Amaya Yit Barach V'Yishtabach V'Yit Pa'ar V'Yit Romam V'Yit Naseh V'Yit Hadar V'Yit Ale V'Yit Halal Shmei Dekudesha B'Richu Le'ela Min Kol Birchata V'Shirata Tush Bechata V'Nechemata Da'amiran Be'alma V'Imru Amen Yehe Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya V'Chaim Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael V'Imru Amen Oseh Shalom B'Mroma Hu Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael V'Imru Amen. And may God bring peace to all who mourn, comfort to all who are bereaved, as we say, Amen. You may be seated. We welcome Temple Beth Zion President, Mr. Ken Polk.
Shabbat Shalom. This truly is surreal. Jill, will you join me up here? Brent and Jill, when I got married 25 years ago, next month, 25 years, someone recommended that Kara and I just find a moment and just step back to take it all in. And their advice was based on the fact that at big events like weddings and b'nai mitzvahs, things move so quickly that if you don't just stop and soak it all in, it'll be gone before you know it. For those of you that remember Ferris Bueller, life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it. So Brent and Jill, just take a second. Look around. Think about where you were a year ago when you were moving and saying goodbye to your friends in Detroit. Think about all the new people that you've met here, not only in Western New York, but also the TBZ congregants. Think about all that you've accomplished here in the last 10 months. And as you look into the crowd, think about the time that you met the person. And think about the personal relationships that you have built in such a short time. Just take a second and soak it all in. Thank you. You can stay. So before I share some thoughts on Rabbi Gutmann, let me just take a moment and speak to you about some very exciting things going on here at TBZ. As you're probably aware as you walk through the building, that after 2 years of planning, our reimagined Kofel Judaic Museum is now open. Starting in the fall, we will be piloting a program bringing school-aged children from the city of Buffalo here to TBZ to learn about our history and our architecture, along with the history of Jews in Buffalo. This initiative will be led by Jill and was fully funded by a donor who grew up here at TBZ and was passionate about educating our youth. My thanks not only go to Jill, but to Carrie Milch, Connor Coatzen, Larry Rubin, and especially Susan Edelman, who have all been involved in this project. We are indeed excited to make the Kofel Judaic Museum a big part of Jewish Buffalo. Second, as we begin talking about Rabbi Gutmann's legacy here at TBZ, I want to share how proud we are to be part of the Buffalo Jewish Community's Life and Legacy program. Through education and training from the Harold Grinspoon Foundation, this giving is very different than any other type of annual fund or fundraising that you may be familiar with, as the ask is about leaving a gift to a part of Jewish Buffalo as part of your will or changing a life insurance policy and naming TBZ or other agencies as a beneficiary. It's certainly an important part, it's an important program for all of Jewish Buffalo, but especially important for us at TBZ as we remember those who came before us. We're very close to closing the second year of this program, and I'll ask you to consider having a conversation with me or anyone from the Foundation of Jewish Buffalo like Erev Levy or Lauren Steinhardt to understand more about the program. We're very excited as we approach our 18th commitment by the end of June. So if you would take a moment and think about your legacy to Jewish Buffalo and to TBZ, just as Rabbi Gutmann is beginning his. Third, many of you here are here for the first time. Welcome to Buffalo. I heard Cleveland, I know with Detroit, we've got two continents, three continents here. But welcome to TBZ and welcome to our spiritual home here at 805 Delaware. For those of you who do live here, you may have heard that we're in the midst of a campaign to repair, restore, and renovate this wonderful building. Over the next few months, we'll be moving out of our quote-unquote soft launch, and we'll be asking you to join us as we meet our goals to raise funds to leverage an incredible matching grant from the Benderson family. And finally, we're in the process of finding a dynamic partner in the form of a new executive director. This person will be critical to our future success and will work closely with both me and Rabbi Gutmann. That may be the only bad part of the job, is working with me. They'll not only lead our staff, but they'll be a key point of contact for our congregants. And I'm very excited not only about our future with Rabbi Gutmann, but also with someone who can help us achieve our future goals. All right, enough with the business. Let's get down to the roast. Oh, I mean the toast. The toast of the man of the hour. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we not only have a new Rebbitzin, but we have a new rabbi. We have a young, dedicated, committed, energized, community-minded, caring, thoughtful, and maybe most important, genuine spiritual leader. We have someone who understands and appreciates our past, but is laser focused on our future. From young family programming to adult education, and from membership engagement to leading social action events, Rabbi Gutmann is leading the charge in our resurgence. His enthusiasm is contagious, and he's making a difference both within the walls of TBZ and within the greater Buffalo Jewish community. As I mentioned in my June column in the Bulletin, he has proved to be B'Shert, the right person at the right time, and I'm ecstatic about the future of TBZ with him at the helm. Rabbi Gutmann, you've been a true partner, and while we've had some downs, we've mostly experienced ups these last 10 months. And I truly hope that you and we together look back on this as just the beginning. So while we can be proud of our accomplishments since July, of which there are many, we have much work ahead. And I can't think of anyone that I'd like to work with in tackling that hard work other than you. Rabbi, I've always wanted to do this. I didn't want to steal your thunder, but you know, everyone at their bar mitzvah got this done to them, right? So I said, I've always wanted to do this. Rabbi, on behalf of the past presidents, the Board of Trustees, the congregation of Temple Beth Zion, and the entire Buffalo Jewish community, I want to officially welcome you as the 11th senior rabbi at Temple Beth Zion and wish you Bahatzlaka, good luck, as you lead us into the future. All right, we have a few gifts. Speaking of tackling, I have a little gift that I'm going to open it for you. Many of you just heard that Rabbi Gutmann is the 11th senior rabbi here at Temple Beth Zion, and what other way to make it official than to present him with his very own
Let's go, Buffalo!
Let's go, Buffalo! With his very own Buffalo Bills jersey. In addition, we have a few gifts from the congregation. And I'd like Rabbi Wyman Kelman and Rabbi Cohen to join me as well. Not going to have the rabbi open it, but this is a beautiful gift on behalf of the congregation. And I guess I'll ruin the surprise. I don't know if you can see this, but it is a gift from the Trabuco studio, and it is a beautiful glass buffalo. A beautiful glass buffalo for the rabbi and his family. And in honor of them joining us, a gift for Rabbi Cohen, a gift for Rabbi Wyman Kelman, and a gift for Jill, a little buffalo memoir. Shabbat Shalom.
Eleven's an important number. Some player who wears 11, I don't know. 11 are the stars in Joseph's dream. Friends, I'd like to welcome my own daughters, my wife Jill, back here to help us with Kiddush and Hamotzi so we can enjoy our oneg together in just a moment. We'll turn to page 5 in our prayer books for the blessing over wine, and we'll rise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzav banu v'shabbat kodsho v'ahava u'ratzon hinchilanu zikaron le'maaseh v'reishit Yom Tefillah Lemikra Kodesh Zecher Letziat Mitzrayim Ivanu Bacharta Viltanu Kidashta Mikol Ha'amim V'Shabbat Kodshecha Ve'ahava U'Ratzon Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen. Ready, girls? Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise in song together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. It's a wonderful, sweet prayer, Benny, and a wonderful, sweet challah. Could I welcome back all of our prayer leaders who helped throughout the night? We have so many amazing, wonderful prayer leaders here at Temple. And so Sarah and Susan and Aaron and Zach. Judy, come on up. Mark, Cantor Mark. Who am I missing? Missing someone, no?
Aaron, Zach, Susan, Sarah,
Susan
and
and
Zach.
Mark.
Here we go.
I think we're here.
Here we go.
All right. So we need to end this with a bit of energy. We'll turn to page 343 in our prayer books. You may be seated. We conclude our service praying for peace, peace in Jerusalem, peace here in Buffalo. Oseh Shalom.
Shalom Roma, Uyaseh Shalom Aleinu. Say Shalom Roma, Uyaseh Shalom Aleinu. Say Shalom Roma, Uyaseh Shalom Aleinu. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Say Shalom bin Roma. Shalom bin Roma, Uyaseh Shalom Aleinu. Say Shalom bin Roma, Uyaseh Shalom Aleinu. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
It's staying off now. Thank you. Thank you. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you. Shabbat Shalom.
And here's Mark. It's true. Exactly.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Otherwise, you're not a player. Did you see what I don't know who the Michiganders is. So this guy here is right now the man with the blue and white people. He's from Michigan. He's from Michigan. He's from Michigan. Your dad was from Michigan. Sitting up. Then I read the first one. The only ones I know in your congregation that I know Did you have a So let me tell you something. No one. Just no one. Talk in Jersey and just put Gutmann on the back. Go to the NFL store and pick a number and pick a name. to create a custom jersey. And I picked 11. I don't even know if there's any 10 or 11. Or you can hang it in the office. But this is, wait till you see this. This is Janet. But I didn't.
I have been to gazillions of synagogues and gotten gazillions of gifts. The most practical one for me that you could imagine.
All I knew was this is what it is, Rabbi.
I'm so impressed. Adi, zema shekibalti.
That's what you got.
It's so practical.
I was told it was Buffalo related, but I didn't know what it was.
I am so pleased.
Fabulous. Yes. 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 I was told it was Buffalo related.
This smelled beautiful. This is a wonderful, wonderful evening.
Thanks for making it. I'll see you tomorrow morning as well.
Okay.
Do you want to put that in? Does that have its own? It's got the back. I'm going to his office, so why don't I take this and that?
And just remind me to snap the seal.
Did Jill leave?
Yep.
No, I'm just going to take
Scissors, probably.
I'm just waiting for the.
It's good hollow, isn't it?
Yeah. I will take your gift, the jersey, and that. Okay. Put it in the office. But I don't know where Jill's gift is. I was going to get that too.
You are hysterical. That's great.
I told nobody knew about the gift except my wife.
Well, for a non-sports person, I made it sports people.
I said his entire programming in the fall is based on the Bills game. You can't do that on Sunday, the Bills play.
Right.
Right? His entire programming is
Or a
based on the Bills
Thursday.
game.
Or a Thursday. Or Monday night.
Hey, well, it was nice to meet you. Yes.
Wait, they're your kids.
Great job. I'll tell you something. When my wife and I got married, at our reception, I pulled her and I said, "You're stopping everything for 1 minute. I want you to just look at the centerpieces, band up on the stage. You know, that's exactly what you said. It's what we did.
Just watched our wedding.
Good. Yeah, it's right here in Follow.
Oh, sure.
The grocery
So we
store.
watched every day.
Yeah, that's something. I really need people to have the same kind of values that I do in that kind of regard. The stuff that's really important. A lot of people just kind of like blow past that stuff. Oh, I mean, know him? Well, I had a rule. We at our wedding, I said, listen, okay, there's one rule. I know we have to go around and we have to roll the table. We had, because my wife's getting divorced, and everybody's all close. Everybody's presently all close. We had step family. So we had the room at the temple. The temple had a limit of 300 people, or we would have to have all the dinner tables and stuff out in the okay, so we had to keep it under 300. We had like 325 people from Asia, and we didn't, but we knew there were certain out of town old people that weren't going to be able to make it in, but still we were concerned. We made it up to 275, and that's a lot too. That's still it's not like tables. And so we were, I mean, I said, all right, we have to go around, we have to give the toy tables, the family and the people and all that. The friends, they understand. I said, but I get my dinner. I get my dinner. And we did. I didn't get the dessert. I got the dinner. And the dessert was the funniest part of the whole thing because and the whole process after we were engaged, I said, listen, I will be as involved. I will help make decisions, and I'm there for you. And so the first thing we did is sit down at the table. And now my mother, she's kind of a socialite. She didn't just want chicken. She didn't just want a steak or whatever, you know. So, because back then you didn't give people choices. So you just sort of ate it. So we ended up with pheasant. She wanted pheasant. And we couldn't tell anybody because we thought they knew it would be. And some people said, this chicken's nice. Good chicken, or it was like 280 or whatever. But it was like, my mother wanted pheasant. She was like, but then they got to the dessert part.
Here comes the creator.
And my wife said, I want this is really simple. I want brown the right mother. And I'm not for the next 40 minutes, there was a discussion about we'll get the details of the dessert, like the brown, with nuts, without frosting on top, no frosting. Warm, cold, vanilla bean, vanilla this, vanilla that. 40 minutes, they talked about a brownie with a dollop of ice cream and to make a decision. And at that point I said,
I do. I don't remember who said that.
It's so strange. I could grab my wife and pull her into a corner, and I said, stop. Just look around the room. Pictures. That's what I said to her. She's sentimental like I am, so I don't know. Right? You didn't. I had Doritos with Hi, I'm Paul Gross. Hi, nice to meet you. I'm Paul Gross. I was Brent's first president at Temple Colony in Detroit, and so I was president for 4 years. I love you. We do co-president.
You do ourselves. Not that I don't.
When are we doing that? What are we? The whole June.
He's like a businessman, and then we had another one that was a lawyer, and another one that my place for he managed projects and stuff. He was business. I had like lawyers and business and I'm a scientist, but I communicate. I mean, I'm a team. I mean, I just retired at 40 years to be a policy architect in DC State, and so I'm a communicator. You know, I'm good at relationships. You don't? And rawing people and you know and all that.
Do you know they get along great? You know, this year.
Great.
They just got his deli. Just got his deli.
But then, and even when I was the vice president, they sometimes had me speak about the president. And so it was great. The co-president thing. No, you really did a great job.
Oh, I know.
See, and I thought
No one.
That's good. And so we keep it.
know this one.
Yeah. Well, you and I would make a great pair. Because when he left Detroit to come here, you know, we had a final service with him, and the congregation, you know, they had a gift for him, but I had my own gift. I did the same thing. I gave him my own personal gift because he and I were so close. Really? Oh, yeah. Did you really?
Oh, no, you didn't.
Right. It's only 4.5 hours if you go straight through.
How they sing? They did it in 402.
I don't know how the OPP are with the speakers.
You came from
Canada. Huh? Oh, yeah, we came from Canada. Oh, yes.
Herb always bragged.
Yeah.
Herb always bragged. Detroit 4 hours. It's about 4.5.
That's pretty good.
Well, my dad went to Central West.
Oh, that's what you're telling me. Yeah. My parents graduated from. Well, how old is your dad? Well, I mean,
he died 12 years ago. He was born in 36, so he would have been
says, now wait a minute, now my mom died last July, end of July, and she was 88, and she went to Central. She went to Central. I wish your dad was still, because I would ask if he knew my mom.
They very well could have.
Yeah.
My mom's from
Oh, okay. Yeah, but you did. I'm saying, I wish your dad was, yeah, because I would have asked your dad. Yeah. Yeah.
So they, were there at the same time.
He went to Central Wayne State.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the Jewish community in Detroit, that was the area. Central High School, like all the Jews went to Central High School. I mean, it was like that was the ghetto. I mean, that was the area where all the Jews were. And they kept moving out from Detroit. And I still remember in high school, our high school history teacher was teaching us about demographics and things. He was showing us how every time the Jews moved, like to this suburb, blacks moved to this suburb, and then the Jews moved to here, and the blacks moved to here. And he was showing us that. And really? Yeah, our congregation was the first one to build a building and establish a congregation in the Detroit suburb of West Bloomfield, which is now it's actually quite a melting pot now, but it's a very large Jewish population.
Yeah. That's where, who's my crazy cousin? Nathan.
Oh.
The Nathan family? Peter Nathan?
The name vaguely, I mean, the name vaguely.
My cousin Peter Nathan.
Yeah, it's a common name.
All Nathans, all Nathans. He's lived in Detroit 40 years. He still has Lions tickets. He's crazy.
And by the way, knowing that there were some Detroit people, I thought you were going to make a crack about, I thought you were going to make a crack.
But then you
let me
thought
tell
better of it.
we gave you guys a hell of a game. But we were also great hosts when you played your Monday game, that game on Monday in Detroit. We were all cheering for you guys.
My cousin works for the
Such a
Lions.
like.
My cousin works for the Lions and calls me on Tuesdays. He knew 2 days before because they had to start setting up.
Yeah, to start setting up, right.
Wow. Peter's son.
Yeah.
Oh, good. He put it in here. This is a talent.
Yeah.
So, do you think I'm going to put this in his office.
Yeah, he might get it.
And then I've got.
He might have others like what we gave him, like
Karen, did you
from
see
the
this?
Detroit contingent.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
That is beautiful.
It's a great, amazing thing.
No,
It's gonna, and then it.
you can't. Let me tell you, there is a beautiful, and there is a professional.
Come on, Detroit and bowling?
Oh yeah.
No way.
Pete Weber won the. Let's see what term was it? Was it the USBC Masters? Anyhow, the trophy has this large eagle on top, and he goes and he lifts the trophy. He won it and went like this, and the eagle fell off and crashed on the floor. It's on TV. It's in a million pieces.
Oh my God.
This one's really. This one is.
I love a good scene.
They're really good. All the little kids have their fingers on it.
Oh,
It's fun.
I forgot about that.
Come
Dude,
down
that's
to
why I
the.
wasn't gonna eat it. They're all like,
Come down to the. Across from where you had Pat, this is open, you know, tomorrow, we don't use the key. If Al forgot, if he forget to open, but he opened it actually, no? All right, I just, get a guy like exhausted now, no? Just all day. I don't know, but everybody here, so I don't know.
You have to open the phone like this, right?
Yeah, we open 9 o'clock and all.
Yeah, I take all the stuff in the kitchen. But it's fun.
So they built this is the main issue. So come on up. This is going to be again, like you saw, it's going to be tomorrow morning. So everything here, like you can tell, these are actual mosaic stones. Okay, so as you can probably guess, these are the Ten Commandments, essentially. Each letter that you see here is actually the first letter of that specific commandment. So like the first one all the way up there is an aleph.
Right.
Underneath it says what?
Recognize the aleph. That's like the
Yes.
only you can right now.
So it says underneath actually the Hebrew verse. So it says Anochi Elohecha Asher Hotzetecha Me'eretz Mitzrayim B'Tei Havadim, which means I am the Lord your God who brought you out of Egypt. Yes.
Brought you out of the land of Israel. Right.
This is. I found that out. You can touch it. It's fine. You can touch it. The metallic. The metallic.
Yes.
This I think also has gold in it, but this is the ark where the Torahs are.
Yes.
Yep. And here we go.
They're all handwritten.
Okay.
Because that's the only way you can.
Watch the door.
There we go. They're all handwritten, and actually, when I was visiting Israel one time, there was a fortress on top of a mountain, an ancient one, and there's a guy who actually writes a scroll, and you can see him writing by hand. And they can't make a mistake. If they make one mistake, they have to bury it, and they have to start all over again.
Yes.
It's written on special.
Buried?
I believe it's buried. Yes. It's not. No, buried.
There's no other way to do it. Yeah.
Yep, you bury it. Okay, I'll close this back up. But and the way it opens, there's a little hole here. So you pull down and it opens.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. And then.
So every temple has got its own set of scrolls.
Yes. Every synagogue has its own Torah. How many? It depends on the size of the synagogue. So at one point we had over 1,200 families. So there are just a lot of Torahs. And most of the time.
Wait, what do you mean it depends on the size of the synagogue?
So we are a very large synagogue. Yeah. So in this ark alone, there are 6 schools. Okay. In the chapel, I believe there are 3. If you go to an Orthodox synagogue, it's mostly going to be like 1 or 2.
What is written?
It's the first 5 books of Moses. If you're looking at the Old Testament, it's the first 5 books of Moses. So Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Deuteronomy, and Numbers.
So why would there be a different number of scrolls if they're all supposed to have the same thing in them?
The number of scrolls it kind of shows prestige.
So like, is it larger text?
No, they're all the same. They're all
Wait,
the same.
so it's like 6 copies of the same thing?
Yeah. Yep, it's all 6 copies of the same thing. However, what they don't tell you, during certain holidays, you read certain Torah portions. So a lot of times you'll see them grab a scroll or a scroll that they don't normally grab, and it's because it's already set to where they're supposed to read.
Because it's the roll, you have to roll it to the place where you're going to read it. I got it. Okay, so the more scrolls you have, the easier it is.
Yes.
To be at the place where you need to read it.
Bingo.
For that moment.
Right.
Fascinating.
Yep. So, I mean, this is pretty obvious, but this is our lectern. If you look, I didn't.
See the word again in Hebrew.
This?
Yeah.
I don't actually know the Hebrew. So this whole place where we're standing is the bima.
The beam. I thought it was the.
No, the
lectern.
whole part up here is the bima.
Okay.
Yep. If you look at it, I didn't realize this until I was like maybe 16, 17. The shape of the lectern in both here and the chapel is an open book.
Sure. Yeah.
It's an open book.
You didn't notice it.
I didn't notice it until I was
My
like
first
16 or
time
something.
filling.
The stained glass windows,
Yes.
and actually the menorah over there, and maybe the 10 Commandments themselves, were made by artist Ben Sham. And this one in particular is supposed to show the creation of the world. If you look in between where the Ark and the 10 Commandments are right here, you'll actually see some fingers. And that's supposed to be God creating the world. Yes. You're not. It's just an artistic representation. The thing is, we don't worship it. So, yeah. Yes. Yeah. So we don't worship it. And then there's, of course,
You see those shoes in the middle? There are 8 of them. Yeah. You see those are off? 1, 2, 3, 4, and we got 1, 2, 3, 4 here. One day you're going to change those. Yeah, I don't think so. No. That's a monkey here. I'm a monkey, you know, they go over there. But we'll go together.
Okay.
But yeah.
Because I know you turn off the light from.
Yeah, there's spotlights. Himalayas. Chandeliers, sidewalk lights on the side, the walls. And, you know, all right. Over there, those two, almost together down, until it goes there. Yeah, you know, there, okay. The walkers, go down. Yeah.
This one for the camp, right?
This is for the